Everyone, and welcome to another Sempre Milan bonus podcast on Substack. This week, we are going to be doing a deep dive into Igli Tare's behind closed doors press conference with members of the press and picking out some of the most interesting passages within it. Hello, boys. I wanted to say happy Friday. Tis not.
But it's not. No, it's never
a
Friday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, AJ and I are both off of work tomorrow, so technically it is Friday. And
No, I'm still
Oliver, I
working.
don't think you're working tomorrow and you're flying.
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm working and I'm driving. So,
where are you going?
up north.
Ah,
Up to
I'm going down south, so
sounds funny.
I don't know why, but it's true. Like, I am going south.
Question, is a press conference really behind closed doors if we know exactly what they talked about?
If it's in
well,
front of the press.
one of the yeah, can the two things be true at the same time? I think the answer's probably no. One of the funniest things I saw was
it the off the record?
Yeah. Antonella Gioia, the journalist for Milan News, who said the plan is to sell Chukwueze because Salamakers is going to be Pulisic's backup. Tare told us that off the record. It's like it's not off the record anymore, is it? I bet he's fuming about that. No, that's a good question. I thought it was interesting because word had got around that this was coming. And I still don't know the exact time that it was held at, but it certainly wasn't filmed or live streamed or anything like that. Whereas normally the introduction press conferences are filmed and live streamed.
Maybe that's what they mean by behind closed doors.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But people still reported the quotes and everything. I think without even diving into all the things that were said individually, I think it's an interesting approach to do it that way. It's almost like they're trying to kind of build trust with the media again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's the play? Be like, we'll invite you in and ask what.
They also build trust with the fans. Like Furlani 4 months ago said no one is leaving, and then
surprise
happened in the past 2 weeks.
I think Madison's right. That's the main thing is we're seeing all these outgoings, but no real incomings. And I think that's more of a way to just like calm everyone's nerves a bit. Now, did he do a good job? I guess that's what we're here to discuss, but
not if you're Musa.
Literally, or Musa's agent. Literally moments before we started recording as well, a few reliable sources are saying we've agreed a 25 million fee for Malik Chow with Como. That's a shock. That's come out of nowhere. Like, we knew Chow could leave, but we thought it would be back to Germany. So that's interesting. A lot of stuff seems to be kind of coming out the blue, right? So that is positive in the sense they're keeping things under wraps a bit. But we all know about some of the secrets that haven't been kept very well. Modric is arriving. We'll talk about the Maignan stuff, and it's interesting. It's very interesting, and I thought that this was an interesting idea from the club. And I think it is that. I think it's to build bridges again, to invite members of the media in and allow them to ask whatever they want and get answers in full transparency. And then I imagine there will still be like the official presentation of Allegri and stuff like that on day one of pre-season. So that's all to come. The official stuff.
Has that not happened yet?
No. He's on holiday in Sardinia. Apparently got heckled by a lot of Roma fans about Salamakers and said, calm down, he's staying with us. Very funny. I'm looking forward to having Max back. His presses are always gold. Right, anyway, let's dive into this. It's worth noting for context as well that he spoke alongside the CEO, Giorgio Furlani. Seen some right fucking idiots on Twitter kicking off about that. Like, why is Furlani there? Well, he's the business head of the club. He should be there. And also, he's going to be asked stuff that Tare can't answer. So, it is what it is. But anyway, first thing that stood out to me, and I'll read the quotes verbatim and we can go into them. It was literally his first response was about the build-up to the role. He said, I've had the opportunity to get to know all the problems from the past year firsthand, but I don't like to look back. I'd just like to take inspiration from the mistakes of the past year to try transform it into a situation that will never happen again. So what we thought was true is true. He's been studying us for a long time. And if the reports about him getting a phone call meeting Meeting Maldini. It's his birthday today, by the way. That's why he's in my
Oh,
mind.
believe me, I saw people kick off. So when I was at the airport last night at like 1:20 in the morning, just scrolling Twitter as I wait for the bags, and I see someone go, "Why haven't Milan sent a happy birthday Maldini yet?" I'm like, "Do you think the admin's awake right now? Like, chill out."
Yeah.
Anyways.
You know, I did write a piece on him for his birthday like 10 years ago.
Might have to dig that
So
out.
maybe
Put it
Sempre
from the
Milan
archive.
should dig that out. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do. I'll have a look for that.
I
Actually.
I can update it to say Milan backstabbed him and fired him, but I won't.
Thanks for clarifying. You might still have editor privileges, so you can just go in and do it if you want.
He doesn't remember his password. Come on.
Yeah. Anyway,
I definitely do. I'll have to ask Isaac to reset it.
1, 2, 3. So the main thing to take from this is that he's pre-identified problems, and this is kind of what we spoke about at the time when he was hired, about how any prospective candidate for a job like this will go into an interview and they'll have a plan to pitch. You know, they'll be like, "This is my experience. This is what I saw of the problems of last season. This is how I plan to fix them." You know, it's I'd say it's pretty basic logic.
Yeah.
But it's just a confirmation that he's seen the problems and that he wants to make sure that last year is like our lowest point for a long time. Good.
Yeah. The other thing, take it with a small grain of salt, just because you're not going to go into it and say, "Oh yeah, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. This is an interesting situation." You know,
Right.
Not that I think he obviously did watch it, but then again, the guy who bought our club said, "Oh, I didn't know that had 7 Champions Leagues." So it's like, you never know who is actually doing their due diligence and who.
Okay, I don't know if Jerry knew what the sport of football was before he purchased the club.
It's soccer, bro.
It's soccer.
Well, I was gonna say soccer,
soccer,
but I didn't want to get destroyed by.
It's a bonus. We don't see the comments. Don't worry.
They'll find something else.
Oh, I'll just go in Discord, talk shit back.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, he moves on to talk about what he thinks that these problems were. And it's what we were saying all year. We analysed these things, and one of the shortcomings of last year was clear leadership in the team. Maybe I don't know the dynamics closely, but I think the purchase of Modric serves precisely this purpose. He's a player's important figure in world football. There will be not only him, but 1 or 2 purchases that will be part of these experienced players and will be a driving force for young players with great potential. So I think the Modric thing, we kind of knew why we were bringing him in, right? In addition to being a great player, he's someone that if you look down his list of honours, there's few players in world football who have won as much as what he has.
Mm-hmm.
He has. Very decorated
the captain
player
of Real Madrid right now. Every time he comes on, doesn't like I said this on the main podcast, and I got heat from some idiots, but he's not going to give you a full 90 just because of his age. That doesn't mean he's only got 20 minutes, 30 minutes in his legs. The game I used as an example, he only played 30 minutes. That's why I said 30 minutes, but just means you're not going to get full 90.
The competition at Real Madrid is going to be different than here, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
It was the right moment.
Real Madrid is different. The everything about it is different. So, like, he may be able to play more with Milan, but like, he's also obviously like
he's not going to play 60 games in a season, so he could potentially.
Maybe it
double
means
his
Pulisic
minutes,
can finally play for the national team too.
I don't know, man. He needs a break.
And the Silver Cup or whatever. Who's winning that, by the way? Who's going to win it?
It's the Bronze Cup. Yeah, it's the Bronze Cup.
I don't know.
Bronze, James. Who's favorite to win it? Is it Mexico? Or is it you?
It's always Mexico.
I don't know, but it'll be. There's potential that it'll be a USA Mexico final or a Canada Mexico final, because USA and Canada are in the same bracket, I think. So.
Sounds like the kind of game that.
Nice job. I'm impressed.
Any USA player should.
I looked it up the other day. I was curious too. I said, "What part of this tournament are they in?" And some of the groups have been decided. And I was like, "Oh, you."
I wonder what Landon Donovan thinks. Anyway, Modric is one thing, right? So as AJ says, he ain't going to play 100% of the minutes of the season. He's 39, will turn 40. We need to manage it carefully, even at 1 game a week. He probably only gives us a year, so you can't put all your eggs in that basket. But I think it does explain why we've been linked to a player like Granit Xhaka, for example, who is Bayer Leverkusen's captain, and we know the run they had under Xabi Alonso. Also the Swiss captain, in the same way Modric captains his national team. Croatia and Switzerland, 2 national teams that massively overperform their resources. Croatia have got that run of going to the final four of tournaments. Like, it's very impressive. And Switzerland always punch above their weight for a small country. So, not that that's relevant to Milan, but I guess they know the pressure of wearing the captaincy and literally leading their country out, as well as big clubs. So that's something. And I think it touches on something that we said at various points last season, which is that when in the decisive moments when the chips were down and we really needed to be bailed out, our presumed leaders vacated us. Teo, what a horrible season he had with red cards and the cooling break and the penalty stealing. Maignan made errors in that massive January-February period, but he just about, has won everyone back over with that ending to the season. Leao was up and down, didn't score a home league goal all season. We signed someone like Morata because of, you look at what he's won and where he's been and the pressure he's played with and stuff. That didn't work out. So we were just bereft of leadership. And I think Tare has probably hit the nail on the head in terms of the one thing we were looking for most. But does that mean we should expect more veteran players in other departments as well? If Chow goes, is it going to be Leone or could it be someone else?
Yeah,
I mean, he said that they want 2 to 3 veteran players, right? Like, they're kind of changing their tactics now to go after players with experience rather than young players, because you can see the young players don't have the leadership to get it done, especially when you change managers every 6 months and there's a new GM or whatever. Like, everyone share,
Yeah.
So
when you're in a situation like Milan is and you're out of Champions League, you need to get back, your project becomes a win now project. The only way to win now is to get ready-made players, and experience is what you get those. You could get in the Leones, the other teenagers like the Genoa dude, Honest or whatever his name is that we just saw today. But that means you also need the Granit Xhakas, the Luka Modric, those guys. So it'll be interesting to see how they mix it. I mean, obviously Zlatan was brought in for similar reasons, right? Leadership, and obviously he was the best striker we've had in a long time. So there's that too. But he never won a Ballon d'Or. Luka Modric did. So we'll see.
That's true. And it's funny because in my mind, and we said this, I think after the Scudetto win, when we kind of botched every summer window since then, in my mind, it isn't a good mix to have a load of young players that need help and time to develop and a load of old players who can only give you so much, right? You want players in their prime who have still got the experience but are able to contribute for years to come. We don't seem to sign those players in their prime. Probably because they cost a lot of money if they're any good.
Well, what we do is we sign them right before their prime. And like Tonali and Reinders, Teo. Teo is different because I feel like he hit his prime way early. We sell them for a profit, and then you're stuck with money and you're not buying players to backfill, right? The odd exception is Pulisic and Leao so far. We don't know. Pulisic hasn't signed his renewal yet, so
I also
and it's hard when. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I also think that when you look back at some of the most successful teams in Milan's history, there actually has been that mix of youth and veteran. You think of the most recent Scudetto win. Zlatan and Kier came in, and they're what gave the team the belief.
And Giroud,
Zlatan especially, and Giroud, yeah, of course. But it was a very young team apart from that. I think even back to that, the previous Scudetto that we won, we brought in someone like Mark van Bommel to get us over the line because he'd been there and done it. He was on the older end of his career. And there were still players around like Nesta Gattuso, Pippo Inzaghi. Those players were still around at that time. So you can actually make an argument that mix is what served us well in history. I'm just always conscious of constructing a squad that's got two extremes like that,
it doesn't work out like that all the time, right? And we also had Zlatan. I mean, like you said, Zlatan, who is like probably one of the best leaders on the pitch. He's great. He's not great in the front office, but he's great on the field. Kier wasn't the best talent-wise. He had his moments, but no one was going to tell you that Morata was actually going to do it. The dude is not. He's been carried by great teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they saw a captain of Spain, and Spain just won the Euro, so they're like, yeah, he could do it. I think that's all they look at, because anyone who's ever seen Morata play knows that he is a journeyman at best. I mean, I don't...
Mate, he changes clubs more than Tiger Woods. I've never seen a guy like he must just live in a caravan, right?
saw
Like, there's
a-
no point in